How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And as always, I appreciate everybody that takes time to watch my videos. I want to apologize that I haven't made a video in the past 3 days. As you can hear while I'm talking, I sound kind of nasally, and also my throat might seem a little bit raspy. That's because 3 or 4 days ago, I caught the cold that's going around the area. And most of the symptoms were very light. But the main thing that was really getting me is the body aches and wanting to sleep all the time. Off and on for the past 3 days, that's all I've done. But today's the first day that I only took a nap for about 2 hours and it wasn't all day long. And I'm feeling better, but there's still a little ways to go with it. But I sure am glad to be making videos again. On Saturday, New Mexico's legislative session ended. And even though there was a mass shooting there very recently, their sweeping, unconstitutional, semi-automatic ban failed to pass. And the Democrat governor who's lost her freaking mind, Michelle Lujan Grisham, says she's going to call all the lawmakers back for a special session to deal with what she calls public safety issues, including the semi-automatic ban, which would ban the sale of almost every semi-automatic long gun that there is on the market today. So here's how Giffords described what happened. 3 teenagers were unalived and 14 injured last night in a shooting at a park in New Mexico. About 200 people were gathered for a car show when allegedly a fight led to gunfire. And here's how the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association described what happened. It was a street takeover at 10 p.m. Neighbors had been complaining about escalating criminal activity and violence at the park for months before what happened last night. What failed once again is New Mexico's broken criminal justice system that refuses to hold people accountable. And of course, all the gun-hating Democrats, especially New Mexico's governor, are using the shooting as evidence that they need an assault weapons ban. But the Las Cruces police chief, his name is Jeremy Story, he told the truth of exactly what happened that night, that all of the 50-plus casings found at the scene came from handguns. But yet the governor and others are trying to use that shooting to push for an assault weapons ban. But of course, that's par for the course. The Democrats do that all the time. The sheriff said that the first calls came out of a shooting was at 10:10 p.m. And a lot of people were caught in the crossfire between the two groups. And in a press release a day after the shooting, Governor Grisham said there's been a 46% increase in violent crime in Las Cruces compared to last year. She also went on to say the devastating loss of Officer Jonah Hernandez in Las Cruces last year, and now this mass shooting underscored the legislature's year-long failure to address the crime crisis shattering lives and communities in our state. New Mexicans are heartbroken and should be outraged that their legislature will adjourn today without having passed a single bill to address juvenile crime and ban assault weapons. But also this shows the difference between the governor and the Las Cruces police chief. He didn't blame the lack of gun control for the shooting. He said his department is understaffed and said there were no officers available to police that park most of Friday night. So there you have it. You got it straight from the horse's mouth. The police chief of Las Cruces, New Mexico, saying the problem isn't the lack of gun control and that it's because they're understaffed. He also said in his statement, the horrendous senseless act is a stark reminder of the blatant disregard that people have in New Mexico for the rule of law and order. It's also a reminder of the lack of fear and accountability in New Mexico. I believe I mentioned earlier in the video that this proposed semi-automatic ban in New Mexico is on long guns. And I also said, by the own words of the sheriff, that the more than 50-plus casings found at the scene of the shooting all were from handguns. So if this semi-automatic ban would have been already in place, it would have done absolutely nothing to stop that shooting. But yet the governor who's lost her freaking mind is still pushing for an assault weapons ban. It's just par for the course for an anti-gun Democrat to use a tragedy to take away certain firearms from law-abiding citizens. And it would do nothing to stop the criminals from having those firearms. But even though the Republicans are a minority in the state legislature, they say they're on board with having the special session. And House Republicans even sent a letter to the governor demanding a special session to be called to address crime and health care. But also in their letter it says Republicans in the legislature are ready for solutions. We hope Democrats are ready to listen to them And of course they're not. But this does give the Republicans a chance to push their own public safety bills that don't make criminals out of law-abiding citizens, and also doesn't blame the Second Amendment for the high percentage of violent crime in the state. But like I said earlier, the Republicans are the minority in the legislature in New Mexico, and the governor is hell-bent on getting these gun control laws passed so she can sign them into law. I've made videos in the past about New Mexico's governor, and I hope once she's up for re-election that the people in that state wise up and vote someone else into office that won't take away people's constitutional rights and blame the actions of a few on law-abiding citizens and taking away their rights to keep and bear arms. As always, I would like to hear your thoughts about today's video in the comment section. And I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. After every video that I post, you guys are always crushing it by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And I'm very grateful that you do so. And I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.